Most photographers, when they think of profitable photography niches, they go straight to weddings, headshots, or commercial work. But what if I told you that you could build a six-figure business focusing on portrait photography niches that are so much easier and are completely overlooked? Take Claudia Pestana, who makes over six figures only photographing horses, or Amy Yang, specializing in pretty much only newborns, and Jill Gray, pretty much only in high school seniors, and they're all making over six figures. Today, I'm going to show you the top 5 most profitable portrait photography niches, why specializing actually makes you more money than being a generalist, and how my students are turning these niches into six-figure incomes. By the way, if you're new here, my name is Sarah Petty. I'm founder of the Photography Business Institute, where I've helped over 33,000 photographers build profitable businesses. And I've also sold over $3 million in photography services myself while raising 3 very active kiddos. So listen, before I tell you the top niches, here's what I want you to understand first. I'm talking about specializing in what you love within portrait photography. You don't have to do everything. In fact, think about it. Who's worth more, a general doctor or a knee surgeon? Of course, you'd pay more for the specialist. Photography works the same way. Now, when I say highly profitable, I mean 2 things. 1, highest paying clients, and 2, lowest effort to income ratio. That second piece is really important, because I've had students track their hours, and while they maybe had freedom and flexibility to run their business when they wanted, they realized they were paying themselves less than $2.50 an hour. Not because they weren't working hard, but because they were doing too much volume work, overshooting and over editing. Here's the thing, specialization creates leverage. A 30-minute session doesn't have to be a $200, what a lot of people call shoot and burn model, meaning you create a bunch of digital files, you burn it to a DVD, and you give it to the client. With the right boutique model, that same 30 minutes can turn into a $1,000, a $10,000, even larger order in wall portraits, albums, collections, beautiful things that your clients will love forever. But that's leverage. Here's why portrait specialists can charge premium prices. The reason they're so profitable isn't because they charge more per session. They're not going in with like, all of this costs $5,000. It's because of their sales plan and the way they serve their clients every step of the way. Think of it this way. Think of your favorite special occasion restaurant. You don't just go for the food, you go for the experience. The waiter might suggest a bottle of wine, some appetizers, a dessert. You're laughing and celebrating, and that's what makes the evening unforgettable and worth every penny. We do the same thing in boutique portrait photography. We're not just creating a bunch of images and handing over the files. We're working with the client to give them an experience that at the end creates heirloom artwork that they will treasure for years. Now, I get asked a lot, Sarah, can I specialize in more than one niche? And the answer to that is absolutely. And the key to that is that you want to market to each niche separately so that the people in your target audience who see your messaging see and believe that you're specializing in what they're looking for. High school senior doesn't care that you also photograph newborns or boudoir. And a pet parent with no kids likely doesn't care that you photograph high school seniors. That's why in my coaching program, we actually give students professionally designed price lists for each niche, because specialization builds clarity that builds confidence. Now, let me show you the specific niches where my students are making the most money. But before I do, don't forget to subscribe to my weekly newsletter for more content like this. The link's in the description. Niche number 1, families. Listen, family photography is one of the most profitable niches, even though they are a little harder to photograph, because you're not just managing posing and lighting, but you're also managing the group dynamic. But here's why it's worth learning. With a bunch of people in the image, the artwork usually has to be ordered larger, and you're also opening up opportunities to sell to multiple family groups. So you've got parents, grandparents, maybe extended relatives, the grandkids. All of those orders add up, which is why families belong at the very top of this list. Niche number 2, high school seniors. Jill Gray has been one of my students for years and is now a coach for us in our peak performance coaching program. She's built a 6-figure business specializing in high school seniors. This niche works so well because parents want to celebrate this milestone and seniors want to feel seen and celebrated. Done right, it is a joyful niche that consistently leads to premium orders. I mean, think about it. The next time they're being photographed is likely at their wedding. Let's do it right. Niche number 3, newborns. Amy Yang makes over 6 figures photographing newborns. Parents are emotional, they're exhausted, yet they're also eager to capture this fleeting moment. With the right process, newborn photography can consistently produce high average orders because gosh, you can't go back and get these images later, and people don't want to miss out on this tiny window of time with their tiny humans. Niche number 4, pets. So by pets, I'm meaning dogs and cats for the most part. And people who don't have kids, pets are their babies. I've had clients invest thousands in wall portraits and albums of their dogs and cats, seriously, because these furry friends are their family. I think this is a growing niche with huge emotional investment from clients. Niche number 5, tweens and empowerment sessions. This is an emerging and exciting niche. And I kind of discovered tweens because I would photograph these babies till they got into school and then sports and life took off and I'd see them as a high school senior. And I thought, I don't need them to come every year in those stages, but my gosh, there shouldn't be such a gap. So think about dance, karate, music, or just celebrating kids at a stage of life where things can feel awkward and hard. Do you remember middle school and junior high? So these sessions that we create build up these kids' confidence, and parents love investing images that how strong they are, how talented they are, and how loved they are when they look at wall portraits hanging in their bedrooms of them doing their thing. We're also seeing students carve out some really cool micro niches. We've had photographers specialize in LGBTQ teens, families who used IVF to be able to get pregnant. And even we've had women who have gone through divorce and they want to empower other women with beautiful boudoir sessions. Isn't that powerful? I mentioned earlier that Claudia Pestana built a 6-figure business just doing equine photography. Yeah, that's just horses. So if she can do that, imagine what you can do when you're sprinkling in some of these other niches. And listen, some of these aren't massive categories, but that's the point. When you become the go-to photographer for a very specific audience, you're completely eliminating the competition because you are the expert and people are willing to invest more with an expert. Now that I've shared quite a few very profitable niches and sub-niches, which, by the way, can be photographed during the work week, we also need to talk about what I think you should avoid so that you're not wasting years in low profit models. Some niches look profitable from the outside, but they're actually what I call profit killers. First off, high volume anything. Sports leagues, schoolwork, bulk headshot jobs. It might look like they bring in a lot of money, but the truth is you're trading your body and your time for very slim margins. I've had so many photographers come to my programs from these models saying, Sarah, I just can't physically keep doing this anymore. Or I'm just so tired of managing so many people and giving them so much of my profits. Let's talk about weddings. Yes, weddings can be a big ticket item for sure. But here's the reality. They usually fall during your prime family time, and they're not just one day of work. Between meetings, endless editing, and the actual event, you can be swallowed whole. Unless you're running weddings at a really high volume with airtight systems and lots of support, burnout comes fast. Let's talk about commercial photography because A lot of my students dabble in commercial work. And listen, it can be helpful as a short-term cash flow tool, but it's just not as scalable as portrait work. It takes more equipment, it takes more skill, and it's still time for money. What I mean by that is you're typically quoting an hourly rate, so to make more, you have to work more hours. Versus the photography profit path framework, it has no limit to what people can make from a 30, 45-minute session on a Wednesday morning, which means while you're burning up your largest commodity, your time, with commercial clients, you're losing the chance to build a sustainable, high-profit portrait business. Here's the key lesson. Don't confuse high revenue with high profit. Volume work might fill your bank account temporarily, but it won't create the leveraged, sustainable income that portrait specialization will. Here's what I want you to take away. Specializing in portrait photography isn't limiting, it's liberating. And at the same time, high volume work, it's obtainable, but not sustainable. Boutique portrait photography is the path to six-figure profits while actually working fewer hours. So whether you choose families or seniors or newborns, or you carve out an emerging niche like tweens or a specialty of pets, the boutique photographer profit path framework makes it possible to earn more while serving fewer, better clients. The point is, when you specialize, you create an experience people are willing to invest thousands in because it means something to them. Now, if you want to avoid the mistakes that I think keep photographers broke and burnt out, don't miss my next video. I'll share my brutally honest advice for photographers who want financial freedom.